Monday Night Raw, at the moment, in December of 2020, to put it nicely, it's going down sad. That's the best way to put it. Monday Night Raw, like Raw the TV show, ever since 2012 when they went to 3 hours, ever since then, Raw has been in this never-ending downward spiral where they've been losing viewers. People, month on month, year on year, see through what Monday Night Raw is. And in this video, I'm going to go through exactly what Monday Night Raw is, why people aren't watching, why you shouldn't waste your time watching it, and what they can do, and what they probably will do to try and quote-unquote fix this. Because what I want to see WWE do to fix their Raw shows, and what they're probably going to do, are completely polar opposites. So that's going to be the video. Before anything really, hit the like button, comment down below what you think of Raw, all that kind of stuff. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to address quickly the rating they got, because like a few months back, I used to make a series called How Low Can They Go, where every week after Monday Night Raw, this was during the WWE Performance Center shows in April and May during the height of the pandemic, when there was like all that fear, and they were in the Performance Center with no crowds. Back then, I did a series called How Low Can They Go, where I looked at the Raw ratings week on week, because literally every week, the Raw rating was going further and further down. I remember in like March and April, they were getting like 2 million flat, 1.9, 1.8, I think they hit 1.7 and maybe like a 1.6 at the absolute lowest. So those are the ratings they were getting in April and May during like the height of the fear during the pandemic, so to speak. So that was then. Now I'm going to do something similar. Monday Night Raw for December, what day was this show? December 14th. Monday Night Raw averaged, over the course of the 3 hours, Raw averaged 1.5, which right there, 1.5 is abysmal. The Raw averaged 1.527. 1.527. I'll be nice and round up to a 1.53. 1.53 million viewers. That is pathetic. That, seriously speaking, that is pathetic. So, yeah, that's what they drew, and that number was down 12% from the December 7th episode, which drew a whopping 1.737 million. So, yeah, those numbers are just absolutely abysmal. Like, just in general, the ratings are garbage. Hour by hour, though, this is where it gets worse, because for this past week's Raw, so December 14th, the first hour drew 1.627. 1.627, so barely over 1.6 million people tuned in at the start of Raw. That is... I don't even have words, dude. Like, seriously speaking, I've talked about Raw ratings a lot, but to think that only 1.6 million people even cared to tune in at the start of Raw. 1.6 million. Back in the Attitude Era, when you'd have 7-8 million people tuning in to Raw is War in 1999 to see the opening of the show, when you get 5 to 6 times more viewers than you do now, it's almost depressing looking at these numbers. So the first hour drew 1.627 to open the show, and then they proceeded to lose like 115,000 viewers for the next hour. So the second hour of Raw for this past week, drew 1.512 million viewers. Yeah. And who can blame the 100,000+ viewer drop? WWE, if they're looking at that, they cannot have the goal to say, oh, well, why are the viewers going away? Why would people not want to watch? You look at what they did with the opening segment. I didn't even review this because, if I'm being dead honest with you guys right now, I didn't even watch most of Raw this past week. I watched like bits and pieces, but I was either out of the house, I fell asleep watching it, like trying to watch it, and then I just got up and did the review. That's literally what I did. So I didn't even watch the opening segment, but I watched this back. The opening segment for this past week's Raw was The Miz holding some book, doing a Christmas-themed story thing. You've got John Morrison dressed as a Scotsman. It was just so terrible. It was garbage. It was some of the worst television I've seen. It was so bad. So that was your opening to Raw. So right there, the 1.6 odd million people who tune in see that, and 1/16 of them turn off. So you lose over 100,000 viewers there. And then the final hour of Monday Night Raw, the third hour of WWE's flagship, I use that word very sparingly nowadays, the final hour of WWE's flagship show draws, oh my god, I can't believe how low this number is. The final hour draws 1.441 million viewers. I repeat, the final hour of Raw drew a 1.44 million number. Yeah. So, in other news, this past week's Raw, the December 14th episode, lost in all 3 hours in the 18 to 49 key demo. They lost in all 3 hours in that demo to last week's AEW Dynamite. Yeah. So that's where the ratings are at now. Now I want to talk about realistically why this is happening. Because it's all well and good to say, oh, Raw's ratings suck, but why is it happening? So to really illustrate this the best way I can, I'm going to walk you through what I personally think when I'm watching Raw. Now, personally, I do this YouTube channel, and whenever I have like a day off or whenever I have time and I can watch Raw, I'm going to watch Raw just so I can try and make my content a bit probably better so that I actually watch the stuff and I can give a first-hand account of what happened on the show. So I go into each Raw show thinking, oh Christ, 3 hours, Jesus, spare me. I actually almost perform a mini form of prayer to say, please Lord, let me get through this without falling asleep or anything worse happening to me. So we begin Raw. Usually the opening segment is fairly dry, fairly bland. This past week's one with The Miz and John Morrison doing some Scottish play was on the worst I've seen. Then Raw gets into this lifeless state where it becomes 4-minute commercial, 2 to 3 minute recap of something you've already seen 5 times, a filler match where you have Ricochet versus T-Bag, then you get a commercial again, you get a tag team match, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Lana and Asuka, then you get a commercial again, the match finishes, you don't care, we get Tom Phillips, Samoa Joe and whoever else the commentator is, they tell you something we already know, we get told what TLC is, there's another commercial, we get Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler, wonderful, there's another commercial, a backstage segment where R-Truth's being chased around, another commercial, you see my point. It's just nothing TV, you're waiting for something on this 3-hour mess that really constitutes and really justifies you wasting your time watching it, but time in and time out, year after year, there hasn't been that. Monday Night Raw hasn't offered you that, and really, I look at, for example, this past week's, on the 3-hour episode, on the collective 3-hour episode of Raw, what on that show is, like, justifies you watching it? A 2-minute backstage segment where Randy Orton sets Bray Wyatt on fire and then The Fiend emerges and attacks him? Okay, that's 2 minutes long. But the other 2 hours and 58 minutes of Raw is a complete waste of time. The other 2 hours and 58 minutes of Raw aren't even worth sitting through. And what I think is, okay, instead of you, the viewer, you, the person who doesn't have to watch this, you, the person who can do whatever they want with their life, free to do whatever they want. You guys can do whatever. You don't have to sit through 3 hours of this filth for no purpose, no payoff. The reason I review these shows is because I have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow my channel. Doing these reviews keeps my channel in the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I review shows. But once again, if you don't do that, and if you're not trying to do this for almost like a monetary purpose, why would you watch this? And that's really why, basically, the Raw ratings have gone from 5 million viewers back in 2014, 2015, all the way down to a 1.527. The worst rating of all time. The worst rating Raw's ever gotten. The lowest Raw's ever gone. That's why Raw is where it is. Because a 3-hour show in which hardly anything of note progresses, and I've seen the very select few WWE shills and apologists on social media who say, for example, this was a couple of weeks ago, when Randy Orton got attacked by Bray Wyatt, and then it was that match where it was Randy Orton, AJ Styles, we had Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, attack Randy Orton to end the show. So I was saying, okay, this is a complete rinse and repeat of 2 weeks ago, because 2 weeks before that, we had The Fiend show up and death stare Randy Orton. So I said, that's a complete recap of 2 weeks ago, complete rinse and repeat, don't really care, WWE's just going through the motions. I had people say, oh, well, it's not rinse and repeat, it's a new segment, it was nothing like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, excuse me? So, let's just get this straight. Randy Orton competing in main event match. Randy Orton has main event match sabotaged by Fiend. The show ends in Fiend, Randy Orton kerfuffle. That's literally what Raw is. That's the script they use for Raw. And it's either that or they rotate the script, they flip the script, And instead of doing that, they have something with Miz, Morrison, and McIntyre finish the show. So it's dead irrelevant TV. If you miss it, you're not missing anything, because literally speaking, you just type in Raw review into YouTube, click on any of them, be that myself, Bonafide Heat, Kobe. Like, our ones are the short ones, so you can actually get straight to the point and really know what you have to watch. But if you want to watch the big dogs, JD from NY, Solar Monster, all these types, Don Tony, those guys, if you want to watch their shows and sit through an hour and a half, 2 hours of talking about Raw, feel free to do that. But what I like to do, and what Kevin and Kobe and what we do, is give you a quick, straight to the point synopsis of Raw in between maybe 3 and 10 minutes. This is what you need to know. If you missed Raw, which you probably did because Raw sucks, if you missed it, watch this, and that's literally it. If you missed Raw this past week, watch Randy Orton and The Fiend and Bray Wyatt's backstage segment. Watch that. Watch it on YouTube, and then that's it. So, in other words, you sit through maybe an 8-minute review from me, a 2-minute backstage clip on the WWE YouTube channel of Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt because you've felt interested and you want to search it, and then that's 10 minutes of your life with WWE content. You can move on the rest of your day and be done. So why would anyone choose to watch a 3-hour Raw when they can do that instead? That is what I wonder. And that is why basically the ratings are where they are. Because instead of watching a 3-hour show, you can watch my review, Kevin's review, Kobe's review, anyone's review in the community, see what you missed, and then go and watch that. Or, even worse yet, people aren't even doing that. People are just tuning out of WWE Raw altogether. People are saying, this isn't worth watching, no one on this show intrigues me, which, if you think that, I totally agree. Personally, I'm really invested in The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, and Drew McIntyre to a lesser extent, but outside of them, I don't care. No one on Raw intrigues me. When I'm watching Ali versus Ricochet versus T-Bag versus Mace, I don't care. When I'm watching Nia Jax versus Lana, what am I supposed to think? Okay, the match is happening. Will this lead to anything? No. Will this mean anything in 3 weeks from now? No. We'll probably be getting a third rematch in 3 weeks from now. So, like, I'm sitting there thinking, why should I care? And that's the biggest problem with Raw. That's why Raw's ratings are, as of this past week, 1.527 million viewers. And if you think going into 2021 that's going to magically rectify itself, I don't know how they are. Because I look at what they can do, and realistically, I'm going to make a whole video on what WWE can do to try and bring back viewers somehow. But realistically, what WWE probably will do, they're going to do one of a couple of things. Either we're going to get another one of those segments like they did 2 years ago, where the McMahon family make false promises, and the McMahon family address the state of WWE, and we have Vince McMahon, Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H say that they're listening to the fans and going to turn it around. Either you're going to get that, or you're going to get Vince McMahon panicking, ending the brand split. Okay, I can picture this happening. Vince McMahon panics, ends the brand split to get Roman Reigns on both Raw and SmackDown. That way, Raw's ratings can go up from a 1.527 to a 1.75. That's basically what I see them doing. Because if you do that, you're going to dilute and really, inhibit Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns is a special attraction on Friday nights. When you watch SmackDown, you're watching it for Roman Reigns pretty much. So, more than likely, I can see this happening now. This isn't rumored, this isn't on the dirt sheets as of right now, but I can picture this. Vince McMahon panics, ends the brand split. That way, everyone's overexposed. There's nothing feels, I would say special anymore. Nothing feels special anyway, but nothing even feels important when it comes to Roman Reigns anymore, and the show's in an even worse position in 2021. That's what they're probably going to do, and God forbid, I can't wait to see it. So that's been the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been a quick discussion about Raw. Just wanted to address this because Monday Night Raw is an absolute Raw's going out sad, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. See ya.